This is an air compressor, pressure regulator, and water remover. I was sent this to review for free. If you wanted to purchase it, it would cost you about $36. They haven't paid me for my review, and my opinions remain my own. So inside the packaging, there is a set of styrofoam that is taped all the way around the edges to hold it together. And this guy is protecting the mechanism here and some accessories. There's a couple of plastic containers there, pressure gauge, a couple of accessories for mounting it. There's Teflon thread tape and a small instruction page. So they have polycarbonate containers here that screw off, and the only reason you need to screw this off is to maintain these filters. They have a brass filter. You take a Phillips or a flathead screwdriver and you can unscrew that. They say you can blow it out with compressed air to clean it. So this guy has what they call a automatic drainer, and there's a float in there, and it looks like if the water gets high enough, the float pulls this valve open and it sprays the water out the bottom. So the secondary unit here they call a semi-automatic drainer, and they say if there's no air pressure, water will come out, but if there is air pressure, this valve seals, and to get the water out you have to push it yourself to spray the water out. And there's also a pressure regulator here. You pull this down, it clicks down, you can turn it to do more or less pressure, and then snap it in place to lock it in place. Now you do have to install the pressure display gauge here on the front, so you'll have to take this little plug out and install that. There's also plugs on the input and the output side of things. Now in the documentation it says maximum pressure is 145 psi. The maximum regulated pressure is 150 psi. This gauge goes up to 150, but on these little polycarbonate containers here it says maximum pressure is 135 psi. So it looks like 135 psi is the lowest rating of any of the components. So I would say, keep the input pressure at below 135 psi if you're using this guy. And it has two holes on the back here with somewhat access if you have a long screwdriver that you can screw this to a wall for holding it in position. It looks like this is a modular assembly because there's these kind of clamping things that are clamping this piece to this piece to this piece, and so it kind of looks like you can buy this with 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 different components all locked together, although this is a unit and you're getting this unit with all 3 of these locked together. So this most notably has the water separators, kind of a 2-stage water separation, but it does not have a desiccant, so it's not able to actually dry water vapor that's in the air. So you'll still need to use a desiccant in line if you really want dry air. Alright, so let's install some fittings. Alright, so I think I have the gauge tight enough by hand, but if not, I found a 7/16 wrench will tighten that pretty well. This guy over here, a 9/16 works on that pretty well, and then this big one over here, an 11/16 isn't quite perfectly right, but it will tighten it down. So, I think these might be metric sizes, but if you have a 7/16, an 11/16, and 9/16, you can tighten them all down. Alright, so testing the pressure regulator. My tank pressure here is 125. I have it set to tool pressure of about 100. So supposedly 100 psi is coming in. I have set this guy here to be, 70-ish, 68, 70, somewhere like that. This little gauge over here is a little higher than 70, say 74, 75. So it's regulating it. Maybe this gauge is a little inaccurate, maybe that gauge is a little inaccurate. So when I turn this, I can increase the pressure. And I have this attached to a tank, so it's taking a while to equalize. So this guy here is getting close to 90. Tank gauge is about at 90. So let's lower this down. And because I have a tank attached, this is taking a lot longer than if it was just a tool. Alright, we're going to set that to 60. Tank here is closer to 70. So it does look like it regulates. The accuracy of that gauge, or my other gauge, is a little in question. So it is not easy to pull this guy down. It takes a bit of effort to pull that guy down. Alright, so if water fills this thing up, the float's going to go up. If I turn it upside down, you can hear that float going in that direction and opening this valve. So that float definitely looks like either gravity or water pushing it up will open the valve. This valve here you have to push. If you push on it, it'll let stuff out. Now I haven't trapped any water that I've found in here yet. It's relatively cold outside, so the humidity's kind of low, and I have only put about 5 gallons through this so far. I'm going to run a lot more air through this and see if I can get any water in it. Alright, I'm just releasing air now. Alright, I ran this guy for 15 minutes, and it is starting to have a little tiny bit of condensation inside of both of these tubes. It doesn't look like there's actual water in the bottom, but we are getting a little couple of drops. You can see a couple of drops have gone down here. So it is trapping some water in both of these tubes. I'm going to push this button here. I didn't get any water out of there. This one here I can't manually push. I can flip it. But when I do that, any water flips out. So I'm going to release pressure and unscrew this guy. So, you know, there's a couple of drops in there. I think if I did this for a long time, let me see if I can, there we go. A couple of drops of water came out. So it is definitely trapping some water in these containers here. I don't think there was enough in the second container to like actually drip out. I think it's kind of stuck to the sides. Yeah, I didn't really get much there. The inside is damp. You know, if I put my finger in there, I can wipe the condensation off the inside. It is damp, but it wasn't actually like dripping to the bottom yet. Alright, so over 15 minutes it does trap some water. I don't know, I can't say how much water made it through this. You probably want a desiccant packet somewhere after this just to get any vapor that's still in the air. Alright, so final thoughts on this guy. Is it worth the asking price? $36. It's definitely better than not having anything in line. You know, the brass filters will get any major contaminants. It's definitely trapping some of the liquid water. It definitely regulates pressure. I don't know how accurate this gauge is, but you can dial in any particular point in this gauge or on a different gauge in your line. So it definitely does what it's supposed to do. The price point is not outrageously expensive, but you might be able to find something that works even better at that same price point. So I'm not 100% enthusiastic about it, but it's not bad.